Hello and welcome to Lawyerish, a podcast for the people. Lawyerish is a safe space to learn, grow, inspire, and be inspired. So come along and ride on this fantastic voyage. Let us go be great together. I'm Brandon J. Wallace, Esquire, and I'll be your captain. It's a whole vibe, and I sure am glad you're here. Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence. And we're powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Our voyage vibe today is brought to us by the iconic music group The Whispers. It's And the Beat Goes On. The single was released in 1979 and was the group's first single to hit number one on the Soul chart and the first to make the top 20 on the Billboard 100. It peaked at number 19. The album is also called The Whispers and was released by Solar Records. Again, the album peaked at number one on the Billboard Top Soul LPs chart and number 6 on the Billboard Top LPs chart. Exciting, one of my favorite jams. This is grown folks music. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Hey, we got an exciting show today, friends. The beat goes on. I'm so glad to be back in the chair and back in the mix with you, each of you. It's time now for Duly Noted. Well, friends, and duly noted today, I want to talk about the importance of voting. We are in an election year. The nation and the two major parties, major political parties, are gearing up for a battle at the I can't talk today. A battle at the ballot box across the nation. Americans, for the most part, are not really paying attention. At least that's my opinion. Most people are trying to hold it together with kids, bills, responsibilities, and all the things that come with adulting. So much so that I think folks really don't tune in until it's time for the conventions or sometime like over the summer. Still, people aren't really making a decision. A lot of people aren't really making decisions until election day, or for some people on election day. While I don't quite understand that as a political junkie, it is true for lots of people who I know and love. So today, I'd like to bring your attention to the recent election in Louisiana, where a candidate for sheriff won an election by just one vote. 43,000 people voted in the, I think it's a Caddo Parish election for sheriff back in November of 2023. Henry Whitehorn Sr. was declared the winner over his opponent, John Nicholson. The election was later challenged in court, and due to some irregularities, the Louisiana state courts ordered a new election should be conducted, and that re-election runoff is slated to happen in March of this year, just later this month. What irregularities, you might ask? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Most clearly, we're looking at absentee ballots that required a signature from a voter or for a witness or from a witness to be valid. Those votes were counted when legally they should have, been disqualified in the state of Louisiana. Now, I think this opens up a new can of worms as it relates to why it's so hard to cast a ballot in this country. But we'll save that for another day. The important thing to note is that the people of Louisiana will have an opportunity to make their voices heard, and we'll see what they have to say again. Here's the point, though. Elections matter. If you're a Black person in America, there's no reason not to vote in an election. Our people fought and died for that right to vote, and I won't tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you that some people want you to vote and others are working tirelessly, really, really hard to make sure you don't vote and to make sure that you can't. You probably shouldn't vote for those people. But again, I'll leave who you vote for up to you. But no matter who we vote for, we obviously must make voting a regular, mandatory event in and for our community. In Louisiana, in that last election, the statewide election, only 300,000 Black voters cast their ballot. There are over 900,000 Black voters in the state. That's roughly 1 in every 3 people who actually took the time to vote. And there are many reasons, right? I do understand there are many reasons why it's difficult, right? As I mentioned, adulting is hard. You have to get off work sometimes, traffic. There are lots of issues that one could face and obstacles uh, when getting to the ballot, including making sure you have a valid driver's license and things like that. And so I understand it could be difficult. But 1 in 3 is something that we really have got to do better about. But this is not a black problem. So don't presume that it's me coming down on the community. No, this isn't an American problem. Let's look at the nation. In 2020, this is the nation's highest rate of turnout since 1900. And still, only 66% of eligible voters actually voted in the elections in 2020. That's sad to me. And I think we can do better. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox, y'all. Let's get registered. Let's get our friends registered and make sure we vote early and in every election. That's duly noted. It's time now for Lawyerish. All right, it's now time for Lawyers Friends. I'm super excited to welcome my friend and colleague, Mr. Danny Andrews, aka Danny from the Block on Instagram. He's a world-renowned entertainment lawyer known in New York, from New York to LA, and all across the globe, even from Abu Dhabi and Mexico. So glad to welcome him onto the show today. Danny, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Brendan. I'm super excited to chat with you and catch up.
Absolutely. So look, there is so much to discuss, so little time. You've got this wide-ranging career. I couldn't even read all of your bio. We'd be here for days. But you've had an exceptional legal career, and you've entered into, and you're entering into a new phase, which I hope we'll get a chance to discuss a little bit today. But I want to focus a little bit on your law journey. You've got a wide range of practice areas, from entertainment and communications, strategic planning, and consulting, fintech. I hope you're going to tell us a little bit about that. And global general counsel. Your most recent position, you were the vice president of legal and the head of commercial and strategic and corporate affairs for Priceline. And yes, friends, that is that Priceline. and now you've started your own business here, your own firm. It's Tassad. I hope I'm saying that right. Okay, Tassad Group Incorporated, and you're focused on business and legal strategy and consulting, career coaching for executives and the like. So I'm excited to get into all of that.
Right.
But why don't we just start with how did you decide to go to law school, and give us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, well, thanks for that great intro. Listen, I grew up really poor on a small island, so super humble beginnings. And I think, like many of us, it's like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor, right? And I also, struggled with access to opportunities. I saw my family struggling with access to different opportunities and equity. And I thought, part of the gatekeeping is around access and understanding the law. And so law school was sort of a natural thing for me, wanting to make sure that I understood how to navigate the laws that, that govern the world that I live in. And when Berkeley gave me a full ride, it felt like a no-brainer. So that's, kind of how I ended up in law school.
Yeah, kudos on that. Berkeley's not giving out a whole bunch of free rides, so you must have shown them something. And obviously, yeah. Berkeley's a great law school, great school in general. Would you say that helped you segue into the entertainment realm? I know you already you had some background anyway as an opera singer. You got to tell us a little bit about that too. But would you say that your time at Berkeley sort of helped to push you into the entertainment field?
Absolutely. Listen, I used to be an opera singer and jazz performer. And so, entertainment and creative spaces were always kind of in my way of life. right? But Berkeley is such a great school, but it also, not just from a prestige perspective, I think, it really does, you've got to do things like fight for your classes, right, at Berkeley, right? So it really does help to kind of like build that muscle of like solving problems, navigating spaces, not just in the law, but just practically in sort of the day-to-day. And so Berkeley really did kind of set me up for that. I also chose Berkeley strategically. It had the number one, I still think it still does, I'm not quite sure, the number one IP intellectual property program in the country, which is largely why I went to Berkeley, understanding that at the kind of foundation of entertainment law is intellectual property.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's such a critical point that you make, and it's something I share with prospective law students all across the country. Is that, when you're choosing your law school, one of the things that you majorly want to consider is what kind of law do you want to practice, right? And be looking at the school or university that can help you sort of further your interest in that particular field.
Right.
Yeah. So listen, you also worked with the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. Who has that on their resume? Can you tell us just a little bit about that? What was that like, and what did you do?
Sure. I was the general counsel and global head of music publishing for the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi for a number of years. I lived in Abu Dhabi, so that was a really exciting opportunity. And we were doing any number of things. We were partnering with production companies in the US on films like The Fast and Furious, Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. We were striking deals with the Chinese government to produce and distribute films in China, which has its struggles. There are lots of blocking and other rules necessary that you have to sort of overcome in order to be able to like distribute your content in China. And so partnering with them was one of the strategic moves that I made. So, and, launched the record label, we launched the music publishing company, and then also launched a television channel that was in over 40 million homes and really incorporated our music publishing and record label enterprises to really sort of maximize our revenue and control the IP that we were distributing on our channel. So that, those were some of the things that I was working on when I was working with His Highness.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And so I guess spanning, over your 17-year career at this point, what would you say it was like your best experience, like a highlight that you would have? And then also, what would you say was maybe your worst or your most teachable moment? What can you share with us there?
Yeah, I mean, there's just been so many interesting opportunities, right? But I think, working in Abu Dhabi with the Crown Prince, I mean, we worked on so many things that I felt like at a young lawyer in the US that looked like me might not have had those opportunities. And so that really was a pivotal time in my career and in my life. And I think, getting to work on things like building a Louvre museum in Abu Dhabi in partnership with the Louvre in Paris, right? And there is a Louvre in Abu Dhabi that, you should go visit if you get there. That was, one of the things I helped bring to reality. But also, I think running my own business is super exciting, right? Because you get to think about what it is you want to do, be more thoughtful about who it is you want to be working with. And so I think those two really stand out as sort of highlights in my career. And I've run my own law firm in Beverly Hills years ago. And that was a really cool opportunity. And this consulting business that I have now is also a really cool opportunity. The worst thing, I mean, listen, I think there have been lots of teachable moments, right? And I think, again, for people that look like us, I think it's important to understand, we might have a grandparent that says, you may be with them, but you are not of them. And there have been many times in my career where I was reminded of that, right? Oftentimes indirectly, but that didn't sting any less. But it was always an opportunity for me to learn the rules of engagement, right? And to understand how to play the game, particularly in spaces where you or people that look like me or you are not in the majority. I think it's always encouraged me to want to do my own thing, right? And to be an entrepreneur and to make sure that I'm using my access and my skills to impart that knowledge on generations to come and people who look like us, who are trying to make it in these spaces that they are not historically a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's great. I think that helps us also segue into, I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now with your consulting group now, Tassad. Can you give us a little bit of background on what you're doing, what are you doing now? Because you've done so much. And so now you kind of honed in on something that's, you've got something that's really unique here, where you're focused on not just legal work, but the overall wellness of folks and executive coaching and all that. So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So Tassad Group Inc. Is my consulting company. And what we do is we provide business and legal strategy for startups, for mid-sized companies, and for large companies. But we also have a career coaching arm, right, for executives or entrepreneurs who are trying to really kind of advance their careers. And, that mix for me is important because coming up, as a young lawyer and business person, I really didn't have anyone helping me to navigate my career, right? You kind of were learning on the job and you found people along the way who could give you some nuggets. But I wanted to be a central place where people could come and get that kind of advice, particularly, again, I keep saying this, but people who look like us, right? And who have similar experiences to us. So I think that is critical. And also there's a wellness and a kind of mental health aspect to it. I think so often, and this also is consistent with my own experience early on, so often we are just focused on success and success that is measured by sort of a capitalistic, metric, right? And then you get to a place in your life where, at least I did, and I don't think I'm alone, where you may reach that level of success but you don't feel satisfied. You don't feel, you get there and you're like, now what, right? Because you've been working on this one pillar of your life, right? And you've done really well at that. But there are these other pillars, the mental health piece, which I think lots of us grapple with, knowingly and unknowingly. And then there's the physical health piece, which is so important, because if you're not physically healthy, you're really not going to be able to be there and do any of the things that you want to do in your career. So for me, when I am advising clients, it's critical that we work through what are some of the ways that you can make sure that you're being professionally successful, but that you're also working on your mental and physical self, right? And things like structuring a deal, right? So it's around teaching clients how to work smarter as opposed to harder, right? So, if, for example, you're an entrepreneur, are we going to, form an LLC to make sure that you're able to maybe have certain write-offs, or maybe form your own 401k, or to be able to, create wealth and a retirement plan for yourself, even though you're running, your own business, things like that people are not necessarily thinking about. Ways to manage stress, right? So that if you're on a Zoom and, the microaggressions are microaggressioning, what are some of the productive things you can be doing? Go out for a run, go out for a walk, listen to some music, different things like that, to really cultivate a more sort of well-rounded consultancy for our clients. And it's going pretty well.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that, because that's sort of where, at least again, where our paths have sort of combined a bit, because we've got sort of a similar focus of this wellness and this mental health space, and
right.
And providing access to people of color. I just think there's so much alignment there. So I'm glad that you're doing that and that you're sharing that, and hopefully folks who are listening in can take advantage of it. It sounds really expensive though, right? So you've got 17 years of experience. It sounds like I would need to auction off an arm and a leg to get your service. But why don't you talk to that a little bit, and then we've got a special deal that we can kind of talk about for our listeners out there.
That is funny. Listen, there's a range, right? But part of my commitment to the community and the people is making sure that the information is available, right? And at a rate that is consistent with where you might be in your growth, right? So you can go to my Instagram at Danny from the Block, there's no K, and you can get free weekly. I'm giving out free business and legal tips on things like, what entity to form, thinking through bartering, the complexities of an NDA, any number of things. Every week there's some free business and legal guidance, right? So you can always, and that costs nothing, right? So you can always tap into that. Also, I make contacting me very easy. Again, on Instagram at Danny from the Block, you can access my calendar. And, when you are a new client, I tend to run promotions, right? To give you, cost-effective consultations. And specifically, right now we're running a promotion for a free initial consultation. So whether that's business or legal advice or career coaching, you just got to go on and, follow at Danny from the Block and, tag a friend who you think is out there doing the thing and that could benefit from our services. And then lastly, in partnership with you, Brandon, which I'm super excited about, and Lawyer-ish, the first 20 people that reach out on Instagram and tag the Lawyer-ish podcast and Brandon, I will also give a 25% discount on your first consultation with us. And so it's important to be providing that level of access and making sure that it's cost effective for people. And that's super important to me.
That's huge, and we're grateful at Lawyers for you to do that. You can tag me personally at BWalleESQ, or you can tag our Apex Group DC at Apex Group DC is the Instagram tag there. So you can tag us either one of those. I think we're going to maybe change that up a little bit. I think we're going to be looking to do some different marketing things here on that. Maybe you can coach us on it.
I appreciate that. So yeah, as long as you're on my page and you tag either Brandon or Apex, that will resonate with me and the team, and we will honor the discounted rate that we're offering the Lawyer-ish listeners.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I'm running out of time here, but we're looking forward to engaging you more. And I'm hoping actually to have you back on our Apex Highlight. We can kind of talk a little bit more about some of the work that you're doing and highlighting those efforts. In the meantime, though, let me wrap it up with my last question. It's one of my favorites. What advice would you give to other young lawyers or entrepreneurs? Or maybe a better question is, what counsel would you give to your younger self if you had the chance? So anywhere around there, wherever you feel comfortable, what do you have for the people before we depart?
Yeah, I think there are a few things. I think take chances, right? Like make sure that they're calculated chances, right? Thinking through, the pros and cons. But I think don't be afraid of no, especially when you're young, right? There's so much opportunity and time out there, kind of chase the things that you want. I think it's important to build relationships, right? I think in your community, but also stepping out of your community, right? And, spreading the word and tapping into communities that you may not always, and people that look like us might not always have access to, and we can help you kind of, navigate those spaces. But I think, relationships are critical. I also think that people are watching, even if you don't think they're watching, right? And so your reputation is key. So make sure that you're guarding that with, your life. And those are some of the tips that I think I would give younger me and people who are coming up in the space.
Well said. Thank you so much. It's Danny Andrews, friends. Thanks so much for taking time to be on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. I know how busy your schedule is. I hope you'll come back and be a highlight guest later on.
It will be my pleasure. And thank you so much for this opportunity, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. That's Lawyers, friends. Hold what you got. We'll be right back with a wellness check. We're back, and it's now time for our wellness check. The show this is the time. This is the time where we dedicate a part of our show to wellness. The last episode, I shared the importance of prioritizing peace. This episode, I'd like to expound on that and remind you to water what waters you, whether it's church or friends, family, your bae, or even your sneaky link. Water the things that water you, the things that give you life. Ensure that you position them to continue to bless your life. Let me say that again. The things that give you life, ensure that you position them, put them in a position to continue to bless you and others. Take a moment to call that friend and not need anything this time. Send that person a thank you note or some flowers. Take yourself out on a date if it's just you. Give life to the things and the folks that give you life. Again, water what waters you. That's your wellness check, friends. Remember to live life in peace and not pieces. We'll be right back with the Apex Highlight. All right, friends, we are back, and I'm so excited to welcome my friend, the very churchy Will Johnson, to the show. Will is a comedian, and a kingdom influence. I can't talk to that. I don't know what's going on with me. He's a comedian and a kingdom influencer. He's also the CEO of the Content House, a media production company. Will, welcome to Lawyerish. Thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor to have you. I got to tell you.
You know what's wild?
What is that?
I'm sitting here just enjoying the fact that you are stumbling over each and every word, and this is absolutely amazing to me. I'm enjoying all of this. This is great.
I'm struggling today.
You know what? If we were in court, I would lose. I just want you to know.
No, you wouldn't.
They wouldn't believe you. The jury would be back there like you said.
So now we're going to have to start all over. We're going to have to start the whole show over. Anyway, Will, thank you for being on the show. It really is an honor. I got to tell you, you are a bit of an internet sensation.
That's far-fetched.
A big internet sensation. Would that be more appropriate?
Almost.
Okay. Well, you're an internet sensation. We'll leave it at that for now.
I'm Oprah's nephew.
You know, Oprah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, go ahead.
I love Oprah. We graduated together, by the way. I just always like to say that. She received an honorary doctorate from Howard the same year that I graduated. She was my keynote speaker. So we're
that's fire.
Classmates.
Come on.
Yes. So Oprah, what up, boo? Love to see you.
Okay.
Maybe she can come on the show too. Okay. All right. Anyway. Okay. So you're an internet sensation. How did you decide to become a comedian? What's that journey been like?
I've always enjoyed comedy because of my dad. My dad is the reason why I am into comedy. So he used to have all the Def Comedy Jam VHS tapes. And he would watch those, and he would lay on the couch, and I would lay on his chest, and I would watch comedy with him. To the point where I just wanted to do comedy. So I decided to just get up and do something about it. In 2014 is when I actually launched out on it. So I started out just doing like small videos. This was around the Dub Smash, Periscope era. And then it just branched out into something different. And here we are, 9 years later.
The young people don't know anything about Periscope.
Periscope was the original Facebook Live. Most of them don't know.
So that's how you sort of started out, right? And you started just doing small videos. I think one of the first things I remember is you used to do those the choir videos. It was like you and
City Mass Choir.
Yes. I love that. And you were singing these gospel songs, giving God praise. I guess that's where we get the sort of kingdom influencer a part of your bio here. So that you started that way. How did you get these ideas? How did you turn what is traditionally, kind of churchy, maybe some would consider kind of stuffy? How did you turn that into something funny and profitable?
It all came from God. Everything I have and every gift I have, everything. That's not a cliche. That is the truth. Every innovative idea I have, it comes from the Lord. Anything that I need to filter out or figure out, I always ask Holy Spirit, how can I do this? How can I do that? What's the strategy for this? What's the strategy for that? I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ. So I literally rely on him for every bit of my information. And some people don't believe that God is funny. They think God is stuffy. And he's this dictator that stands over you with a deep voice and makes you do things. And that's not who he is. Because I know him to be a funny God. And there are a lot of things that I do. I always reference this video when people ask me that. I did a particular video where I'm a church kid. So we observe everything. We watch everything. I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a grand PK. I'm a nephew PK. I'm all of the PKs that you could possibly be. I'm them. Okay. Everything that has to do something with church. I was born on the In Remembrance of Me table. So like everything that has anything to do with church, I'm that. I'm very observant. So I was one of the things that I hate in funerals is the acknowledgments. But I love when like they have the church voice on and they're reading them really diplomatic, like trying to sound educated. And I did a video like that, and I was finished with the video, and the Holy Spirit like said, "Hey, listen, draw a stick figure, a little picture of a stick figure, and put it on the back of a piece of mail, and then hold it up and say that the grandparent drew a picture of their grandmom." And after I did that, the video like went crazy. Everybody enjoyed that specific part. So I always reference that I get everything that I have from Holy Spirit because all of my ideas, every one of my innovations come from him.
Well, won't no rocks be crying out on this show for us? Okay, we give them glory over here. So we thank you for that I all the time. So now, recently, I want to talk about what your recent endeavor, because you've got this huge thing that is making the rounds all over the internet. You launched Choir Rehearsal with Friends. I describe it as it's like karaoke but better. If you're listening and not watching, there's a screen that says Choir Rehearsal with Friends in the background that Will is drawing our attention to. But
great, because my screen keeps timing out, and I was hoping that you was gonna hop on that so that when the screen times out, all they're gonna see is black. Because I'm tired of tapping this screen now. Keep going. I tried to be, all extra and really prepared with media. My media team was here. I'm the media team today, and we're tired.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm glad you got on that. Y'all see it now?
Yes,
You see
we
it?
got it. It's there. Yes, we see it. Thank you for that. So Choir Rehearsal with Friends is karaoke but better. It's an interactive space where people sing, you sing. Listen, let's just look at a clip. I don't think I can describe it to do it justice. Let's look at a clip, and then we'll discuss it on the other end.
That is wild. That is wild.
I'm ready to cut a shout. Well, amen.
That is wild.
We finally got a piece. Okay, so how did you come up with this idea? How would you describe it? And I mean, I guess we got it from the Holy Ghost, but how did you birth this idea? Maybe that's a better question. And what's the response been like?
So it was originally entitled something else, and I was working with a particular production company. I was under them, contracted under them, and stuff like that. And you know, as you grow, just things, we grow apart. So I just said, hey, listen, I'm gonna leave, and I got ready to see. I'm on the Lawyerist show, so I guess I can say it because it's a legal show. Okay, so I got ready to. I left the company, but nobody in the company could do the idea like me. So and that's not. I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm telling the truth. Nobody could do it like me because nobody had the ideas, the original blueprint, and the guy that I started this thing with, he passed away in 2022, and so we were working on this. And the day that I understood the idea, I texted him. I said, "I got it." He said, "Okay, go do it." He didn't know. I didn't know he knew exactly what I was talking about, but I was like, "All right, cool." He was like, "Go do it." And so I started it. I started doing it. I left them. I got ready to do the first show under just me. And I got a text that said, hey, listen, I changed the logo, everything. They said, hey, listen, you're going to have to change the name of your show. Matter of fact, the week before we were actually about to do the show. Nope, the week of the show. Oh, they texted me and they said, if you plan on using this, doing the show, you're going to have to change the name of your show. For legal matters, I don't want you to get a cease and desist letter, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop. You're going to have to change it. Now, it was originally supposed to be me hosting this particular idea. They said, you're going to have to change it. So the week of, I'm in my team meeting retreat with the team, and I'm reading this text of them, and I said, how in the world do we pivot in 3 days for a new name? Like, what are we going to do? And I said, Lord, what am I going to do? And the first thing I said was choir rehearsal with friends. And the graphic designer, he looks at me, he says, look at my computer screen. And he typed in choir rehearsal. And then I knew, I was like, okay, bet, we got something. So we did it. It worked. We announced a new name. People didn't catch on to it right away. But we announced a new name. We caught a couple videos. We popped them up. We popped the graphic up. We worked on the strategy. And people were like, oh, I want to see this. I want to come to this. So we launched another city, which was Memphis. And they were like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see it again. So we launched another city. And then we launched another one. And then we just kept just doing it. We did it in Atlanta. And when we did it in Atlanta, it worked. It really worked. We did 2 shows in one day, and it worked. And at that point, I realized we really have something. And so we set out to do it. Yeah, we set out to do a couple more shows, and here we are. We're on tour now. We've got about 15 stops. We just did the first 4. Just did the first 4 stops, and we have 6 sold out shows and counting.
Wow.
So yeah.
And so how do people get to buy tickets, get to come to the show? What do we do before the rest of the tickets are sold out?
So you gotta follow our social medias, which is on TikTok it's Choir Rehearsal W Friends. They would not give us the with. So it's Choir Rehearsal W Friends. On Instagram it's Choir Rehearsal with Friends. On Facebook it's Choir Rehearsal with Friends. All of those, everywhere on our pages, there are ticket links. Or you can go to eventbrite.com and type in Choir Rehearsal with Friends, and every city that we're coming to will pop up. And you follow the Choir Rehearsal with Friends page on Eventbrite, so then you can get the updates when a new city uploads. So that's really it.
Yeah, that's really great. And so you're doing everything from gospel songs to
TV shows,
theme songs, yeah,
R&B.
Okay, doing some R&B too.
The Memphis show is when I met you.
Okay, so I didn't know you then, but I remember running into you, and I'm a big fan, so but I didn't realize that you had a show earlier that day. You did have a show. I didn't know it was this show.
Yeah, it was the Memphis show. That was the second show.
I knew that you had something that day. You told me that you had done something early, but I didn't know that this is what that was. Wow, that's come full circle. That's pretty crazy.
He didn't fan out Lawyerist audience. He did not fan out. He looked at me and said, "You're not that important. Don't nobody care about you, but I follow you and I really like your content, but you're not important, so I'm not gonna act like it.
Well, that's not true. But I did actually discover that I was not actually following you, although I've seen your content everywhere and liked it and shared it. I wasn't actually following your real page. I didn't even think your real name was Will either. So I don't usually believe things on the internet. So.
What did you think my name was?
I don't know. Again, people on the internet. Yeah, I guess the lawyer in me doesn't trust what I see on the internet. So
That's understandable.
But anyway, I'm glad we did connect, and we've been friends ever since. And I really am, really grateful and for you being on the show and for the success that you're seeing with choir rehearsal with friends. And it's literally blowing up. It seems like a lot of fun. I really can't wait to get to a show of my own. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to come and witness and participate. A little bit more on this. How would you describe it though? Right. So, I tried to, I was like, it's karaoke, but more interactive and choir, but what would you name it? How would you describe a choir rehearsal with friends to people?
That's the best way to describe it. It's really karaoke with 3 parts, and the audience is the choir. The audience is literally the choir, and we just make the audience sing. There's no way to describe it, which is why I know it's a great idea, because it's hard to explain. I hate calling it karaoke. It makes me want to fight, but it's the truth. It's kind of like it's hard to explain, which is what I love about it. You can't define it. It can't be boxed in.
Yeah, that sounds so good. And so you're like leading the choir. How much of your praise and worship background is this? I mean, you do the choir, you praise team? Is that where you're getting this experience? Because you sang that, right? You preached that up just a second ago.
My mom is a choir director. My granddad was a choir director. My aunts were choir directors. My cousins, my whole family is musically inclined. So if you are anywhere in the Frederick family, you do something. Either you preach, you sing, or you play an instrument, or you do all 3. And we got a good bit of the bunch that does all 3. My mom plays and she sings. She used to sing. My mom plays and she used to sing. My aunts, all them so the choir's in me. I'm a director. And then I used to have my own group back when I lived in North Carolina. I had my own group and I used to travel with them. So music is all throughout me. And even when me and my cousin, we joked about it the other day, whenever we would go to certain events in the country, we call them singings. So when you would go to a singing, it's like a music, they call them musicals now, but when you would go to a singing in the country, we would go and people literally, when we walked in the door, we were like 9 deep. It wasn't that many of us. We were 9 deep. But when we walked in the door, people would probably be walking out and they'd be like, "Oh, y'all about to sing? Yeah, we were about to leave, but we gonna stay." Like they would stay for us. They literally wanted to hear us sing. So it's all throughout my background. I am the family choir director. I'm all of that stuff. So everything that everybody sees on the internet, anything that anybody sees on stage, this is my literal life on stage. This is nothing that I wrote down, nothing that I made up, any of that. It's all of my experience just on stage.
Yeah, and it comes through. You're passionate about it, and that passion sort of seeps through, even on the internet, and that's often hard to do. And so it doesn't seem that hard for you; it just seems really natural. So I'm excited to continue to see you develop that, and I'm wishing you much continued success there. I'm running low on time. So I think you've given us maybe one of your experience stories. I think we'll just take that and receive that as information. I will just go to my last question, which is, what advice would you give to your younger entrepreneurs, younger comedians who may be thinking about getting into the business or maybe even having a tough time, breaking through? What counsel would you give, what counsel would you give your younger self if you had the chance? So somewhere in there, what takeaway can you give our audience?
What I would give what I would give anybody is do everything, especially when you are gifted with a lot of things and you just don't know what to do. That is something that I see a lot of people doing or running into. I also coach creatives. So one of the things they say, I'm good at this, but I'm also good at this, and I'm also good at that, and I'm also good at that. And they feel like they can't do everything. Do everything. Do what works until you find the thing that works. Do everything until you find something that works. And when you find it, cultivate it and multiply it. That's literally biblical. Genesis chapter 1 and 2. He creates the earth, then he creates man and says, hey, listen, you got 2 jobs: cultivate, multiply. And that's what you have to do. Do everything that works until you, 1, cultivate and multiply.
Well said. The man sings, the man preaches. He's funny. Thank you so much for being on the show. Yes, through and through. He's my friend. We look forward to seeing more from you. And I hope you'll come back when you got your next new thing, or you want to do some more on Choir Rehearsal with Friends, or one of your other many projects. You got so much going on. So we'll be glad to have you back. And again, just thank you for making time for us today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate the invite to be on Lawyerish, and you're absolutely an amazing guy. This is a great guy, and I think that your show is going to do exceptionally well and touch multiple lives. Why? Because ain't nobody like, can I say your nickname on here? I can't say your nickname.
Yeah, you can.
Ain't nobody like B. Wallace.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. I'm going to sign and seal that, deliver it. I'm going to post it on my next commercial. So we appreciate that very much. All right, friends, hold what you got. We'll be right back with your motivational moment. Friends, it's time for our motivational moment. This week, I want to encourage you to celebrate your wins. Remember, a series of small wins eventually leads to a really big win. And we all know from the internet that a win is a win, right? So recently, we witnessed the Kansas City Chiefs win yet another Super Bowl. Congrats to them, I guess. But to win a Super Bowl, you have to win the playoffs. You have to win games in the playoffs, right? And to win in the playoffs, you have to win enough regular season games to get into the playoffs. To win regular season games, you have to win just one down of football, one snap at a time. You got to win those. And if you win enough of those snaps, then you could win the game. To win a snap, you have to win in practice. And to win in practice, you have to win in the weight room and in the film room. And to win there, you have to win the battle of the mind. And so I encourage you, friends, in order to win the battle of the mind, you have to celebrate your small wins. Did you get out of bed today? Did you brush your teeth and put your clothes on? Did you make it to work? That is a win. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate completing that project. Just don't rush back into work. Give a moment, take a moment to pat yourself on the back. Celebrate that small win and get focused on the next one. That's your motivational moment, friends. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Well, friends, we've done it again. That's a wrap for our second episode of season 3. Thanks for listening and for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like any voyage, it's always a little bit more fun if you can bring a friend or two along. I'd like to thank my guests, Danny Andrews and Will Johnson. Shout out to the Whispers for this voyage vibe today. Remember, Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence. And powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Email your feedback and legal questions to lawyerish@apexgroupdc.com. Also, email us if you want to take advantage of that executive coaching and all that, all those good things that Danny Andrews is offering. Email us there. We'll connect you. Thanks for spending this time with me. I really appreciate you. Shout out to our team who are working behind the scenes. Margaret, appreciate you. And the whole team at the Green Law Firm, really grateful for them and for our Apex group. Looking forward to coming back again, friends. Until next time, be well.